Hello, everybody. This is Veronica from Human Design Journey, and today I will present to you Hannele. Hi,
Hi.
I'm very glad you accepted my invite, Hannele. It's actually the first time we talk with each other since we met in person.
That's true.
Yeah, so it's a bit different situation, online is always different.
Mm.
But when I met you, something really clicked in me.
hmm
We didn't actually talk so much, and so now is my possibility to talk to you more. And
uh,
um, yeah, it's nice to see you.
what clicked for you? I'm curious because this was a few years ago now. It was
Yeah, yeah.
2019.
Well, I watch people.
Mm.
Um, I am a keen observer of people and the surrounding and environment and groups. And so for me, um, those who stand out, I see immediately.
Mm.
And okay, it was your hair first. Rasta.
I had dreadlocks back then.
Yeah, you had dreadlocks. And I've been to Jamaica twice. And it's just, for me, Rasta is like home, hitting home always.
Yeah.
But it's just you stand out. That's it. I don't have to go deeper than that. It's just I observe.
Mm.
And um I'm drawn to people. So I was drawn to you.
Mm.
I don't have further explanation why. And then um yeah, I've been taking in our experience. We met on this festival, so it was a lot to take in. Um then you had a lecture, and which was very interesting for me how you put together the lecture. It was about emotional and non-emotional. It was about the emotional center and the relationship.
Mm.
So then you mentioned something during that lecture. It's so weird because we had such an age difference, and they were like, what age difference? I didn't notice anything like that until the moment you said it. So apparently Luca was looking a little bit older and you were looking a little bit younger, and I totally didn't notice any age difference whatsoever. And then I saw, whoa, this woman really um is like um concerned about that. But it's just, yeah. So it started thoughts in me about relationship in general, and about prejudice and
Mm.
yeah, we're in this human design festival, so you're supposed to be you. It's like, what age, it's just a number. It's, yeah. So um those themes for me are very active in life, about prejudice and about
Mm.
projection and expectations, and yeah, how we're formed by those things. So
Mm.
that's the very long answer to what clicked. It clicked on multiple occasions, and something provokes me in you. And yeah, so
That's nice.
I want to
Oh God,
explore
this might
that.
be interesting.
Yeah, so I'm
Yeah.
interested in you and your story. And also, I have the feeling, and also from the lecture and from what I heard from you, and that you're very radical in your experience, an experiment with human design. So it's interesting for me.
Mhm.
How did it all start for you?
How did it start? I have a cousin that I've, been friends with my whole life, and she's a 3-5 like me, and also with the same channel 59.6. She has other definition, but it was kind of like we were at the phase of life where we had broken the bond with each other for a while. It just happens. It's not like there's any arguments or anything, but I hadn't talked to her for a while. And then suddenly she sends me this email asking my date of birth. And I'm like, I gave it to her and like the time of birth. And then she sent me some PDFs, I can't remember what they were, but the introduction to human design and stuff. This was 2011. And I read them and I was running back at the time. And what really got to me through reading these PDFs was the fact that it's about the body. The life is about the body. And it was really current to me at that time because I was running so much and I was really appreciating what my body could do. And then I left it for a couple of years. And then my cousin, 2 years later, asked me if I want to go to France and help out, do some work in a house that they were kind of refurbishing. And as an exchange, I got a human design course and a reading. And of course, I was up for it. I was in such a bad state in my life, like I was depressed. I didn't know what to do, where to go. I hated myself. I'm like anything, whatever. And so I went there, and I think it was the second day that I was there. It was an interesting experience, full stop. But the second day that I had my reading, I remember being there in that room. It was a reflector who did my reading, and something just shifted in my body. I just dropped in and I was like, oh, I'm okay. I'm okay as myself. And it was like a relief. It was just noticeable change. And I came out of there and I was in a different world. So it was really a powerful experience for me. And of course, from there, I mean, I'm very open. I have 7 open centers. So, and I'm quarter of initiation. So purposeful, filled through mind. And I'm very mindy in many ways, even though I have open head and asana. I started to investigate, look into human design, reading, absorbing everything. I also have right variables on my personality, so I take in a lot, and that's how it all began. And I started to watch myself. I was mainly watching myself with others and how I changed because I have completely open G center, and it was just a beautiful movie that started to play because I could actually see that I'm none of these people that I'm with, and how I change all the time, and who am I really, and all changed like that, and that's kind of how it began, and I'm still on that journey.
Yeah. And what was the first thing you started experiment with? Um, you mentioned you have completely open G, and
Mm.
that's what you first started to notice.
Yeah, it was really funny because so my reading was done by a reflector. And he told me something like this, not exactly using these words, but he said, I am reflector like. There's some kind of an opening and closing of my aura. And I didn't understand it back then, but I started to look at myself as if I was a reflector. And if you look at my personality, if you just split the red and the black, my personality is no definition. So I resonated with the idea of okay, I'm just open, I just take in. And this is what I started to watch.
Mhm.
And of course, understanding that I'm not here to make a decision in the now. I'm here to wait and just watch how it plays out. I felt like it was really a key thing for me, because it put me into that state of looking outwards, looking out and seeing how the external impacts me And then I'm going to wait with that. I'm going to wait with whatever emotion arises from that. I'm just watching it and seeing what happens as a result. So that's kind of how I still operate in many ways. I mean, I do see that my mind is so toxic for myself. You know, I have so much openness and I have a lot of activations in my open G center that if I start to look at myself, it becomes very, very judgmental very quickly. And I've learned to kind of use my mind to look outwards, and it's really useful. And in the meantime, I'm just letting myself feel whatever I feel, you know, and that's basically how I operate.
Mm-hmm. And
Just simple ways.
indeed, you have like one channel, and it's also your authority, gives you your
Yeah.
authority and your type. So your emotional generator.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that when there is one channel, you are the embodiment,
Mm.
because that's your life force.
Yeah.
And you say that you just said like, that's how I operate. I just live and feel. That's what I heard.
Mm.
This is so pristinely said indeed, because I just live and feel. I just live and
Mm.
feel. And can you describe that, uh, the depths you go to, um, and when it feels like it's the end of the world and you're down on your wave, and the other part, or it's not so extreme with you, or
Mm.
how does it go?
Okay, so I am very deep feeling person. Um, I go through big waves. I don't like, I know that there's, you know, you can look at the wave patterns and you can see, okay, you have tribal, you have collective, you have individual waves. I have the 59.6 channel, which is supposed to include all waves. And I've been trying to watch it, but you know, there's no pattern. You know, like I just feel what I feel and it can change in any moment. You know, any external happening can change my wave. Anything internally can change it. So I'm just navigating with whatever I've got in the moment. And it's deep. You know, when I go through low waves, I get really, really down. And I mean, it's dark. It's really dark. And I've been depressed. I mean, before human design, actually, I was depressed for something like 15 years, you know, more or less. And then as I got to human design, I began to understand that, okay, I have this wave and it's chemistry and there's nothing I can do about it. So through acceptance, I've been able to navigate that, or those dark waters, if you like. I mean, there's nothing for me to do about it. If I try to fix it, it's just going to persist. So I'm better off just leaving it be and just keep doing what I have to do for myself in order to accommodate that. Often it means that I just block, you know, like if I'm really, really down, I don't have space for anybody else. You know, that accommodating that those feelings takes everything. You know, it's really heavy. So I block the world out. I might just put some TV series and watch that, you know, for days. Or, you know, like eat nice foods or just be on my own. This is really my way of navigating that. And then I can get also really happy and energetic. I have had a challenging couple of years, so I haven't really had the highs lately, but I do feel like I'm on a rise. And this is a very dangerous place because when you get high in your wave, it's much, much easier to act quickly, you know, to try and, you know, like, because you have the energy there and it's free, you know, like you can just take that happy energy and throw it anywhere. It's like so easy to do stuff with that emotional wave. And this is where I have to be even more careful um, to not act before I'm clear. So it's another kind of challenge, you know. And so, going between these two, anything in between, it's my daily life. It's like, yeah, it's it's interesting to watch for sure. Like
Mm.
no control over it.
And you talk about your wave like it takes very long time. Like it's a when you
Can.
said I have a big wave, you meant it's like mm, long periods, or of course it can be anything at any time.
Yeah, there are different. Like I have come to see that there are different waves operating at the same time. Like this 59.6 has all the different waves. So there could be an undercurrent that I feel is more like the collective one. It's more like up and down kind of thing and lasts longer. And then on top of that, I have my daily wave. I never know how I'm going to feel when I wake up. And there's anything in between. So there's like layers. And so I might be on a really low, like undercurrent, but I can still feel high one day. It's like it's funny to explain it because there are no words to explain it because it's so abstract and it's just in an emotional field. But um, but yeah, it would be cool to find language for it.
Yeah, but that's all we have
Mm,
at the at the end to let the aura do the talking, of
yeah.
course. Still words can be beautiful details which put them in reality in the
Mm,
Maya.
yeah. But
So
it's I feel like it's important to find the right words to explain them because
yeah,
words have power, and if you don't get it, I mean, I know that words also have limitations. So to try to find the best word to describe something is still not going to be perfect, but it's very important that you do get it right because you always put out the frequency with the word. And so, I'm watching that, and I want to be careful with the word. So it takes time.
yeah. I love hearing that because actually I have this ongoing dispute, if I could go, with a friend of mine, and exactly about the power of words, that
Yeah.
it's so important. And for me, um, also maybe in this respect, I'm a little bit of fuzzy bunny, but it, I like beautiful words.
Yeah.
And ugly words, just it hurts my ears, and
Mm,
I'm also vivid, very vivid in my imagination. So
mm,
words really lead me in seeing. Mm, yeah, they're so important, and at the same time they're very limited. Like our communication is for 70% nonverbal,
yeah.
anyways, with or without knowing about human design. Um, and would you say that you have awakened your passenger?
uh,
Because you said I'm watching, I'm watching, I'm feeling,
mm,
I'm watching, I'm
mm,
feeling, and isn't that what the observer does? Observe and take in and
yeah, I mean, I feel like when I was born and when I was a child, I remember being very much a passenger back then, like as a kid. I was very different. I did see the world in a different way. And at some point, I don't remember what age I was. I think I was coming to my puberty or something. I remember having this thought that I have to lose myself because the world is taking over. I have to lose myself. I remember having this thought. And then obviously I was navigating in the not self world and getting really heavily into all kinds of shit. And then I don't know, I guess when I discovered human design, it just clicked again. Oh yeah, I'm not here to do anything. I'm here to just watch. And so it just put me back into that space. Um so I don't know, I don't like the word awakening for some reason. I don't know why.
Because maybe it sounds like enlightening or something.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. And it feels like it's a goal to reach somehow. It's
Yeah.
like we are already, each and every one of us already have the passenger and the capacity to watch. It's just about shifting the perspective in a way.
Yeah, but if you look at awakening is also, and every time you say it clicked, something clicked in me,
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
like also something awakened in me. Also, we have the,
Lights were turned on.
yeah, also this channel 2010, being,
Yeah.
I think I look at life sometimes like that, it just clicks and you're like, ooh, ooh,
Mm.
ooh. And it's, yeah. But again, words, they can.
Words, yeah, yeah. I mean, maybe it's okay to use that. I mean, to me, when I look at awakening, I see that there are multiple layers of awakening in this life. You can awaken to all kinds of illusions that, illusions are on top of each other, like we're just being lied to our whole lives. And you can awaken to many things. But the true, for me, being the passenger is much more about the understanding that you are not in control. You can't do shit really, You're just here to watch and surrender. And it's, I don't know, for me it's been a very, very uh, deep process, because when you really realize that you're not in charge of anything, it's like it's devastating in a way for a while, because the mind would like to argue with the fact, okay, but you have a choice. You are in control. You're in control of your strategy and authority. You're in control of what you're seeing, what you're thinking, all these things. And I've realized that I'm not. I'm just not. And that puts me in a space of peace in a way, because oh god, I really don't have to worry about anything. I can just whatever, my body will function on its own. And so I'm saying I'm not always that way, because I get caught up in the world, and I have a wide open route, so the pressures of the world get to me, and then I'm immediately gone into trying to do something, but I catch myself at some point, and I realize, and then I can relax. And usually at that point, my life just shifts back into place.
Your alias is actually Hannele Passenger.
Yeah, use the passenger there so that it reminds me.
Yeah. It's
I'm conditioning myself to remain in that
uh,
space.
yeah, to how do you call it? To put to suggestopedia, to suggest yourself to, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's a very good reminder. It's a good
Mm,
reminder.
yeah.
And this is probably one of the most awakening phrases, to surrender and to be a passenger.
Mm, yeah.
Also, when you were talking now, I remember reading from you something, because you share on Facebook sometimes. And for me, this was an example how an open throat can just say one sentence, and then it's, even through the internet, it's like the silence after it, it's deafening.
Mm,
And that phrase for me from you was, the past year or something, I watched my ego die.
mm,
Like, it resonated so much with me, because
mm,
Wow, it's so powerful. I watched my ego die. Like,
Mhm.
how was it to watch your ego die? I watch my ego die every day also.
Um, well, the last year was interesting to me. I mean, I have given up everything now. I've given up everything there is to give up. Um, the, ego. When I said I watched my ego die, I'm talking about the not self kind of attachment to an identity that I'm not. So not specifically the ego center. I want to be clear on that. It does feel like a death. You know, for me, the process was pretty much my life force was stripped. I mean, my physical life force. I mean, I was not responding to anything. The world just stopped for me. I went into a complete. I wouldn't say it's a coma, really, because it's a wrong way to say it. But there was nothing left. You know, nothing left of me, of my life, of who I am, of what I respond to, of anything. I didn't exist anymore. I was living in another country. There was nothing there for me. My relationship was dying. What I was left with in that state was the nature and the dogs and insects and smell of grass and things like that. And I just got into that world and I realized that this is where my energy is drawn from in a way. You know, life happens. I'm dead. My identity is gone. I'm no one, yet I'm still alive. My body is still breathing and it's flowing in the same flow with the universe and seeing that and it's a complete shift of perspective. Um, but it required complete stop of my energy. I know that I couldn't have gotten to that space without it. So I'm not saying it's like gonna be like that for everybody, but for me it had to be like that. Yeah.
It's really powerful to watch you.
Mm.
I don't think you realize how brave you are, actually,
Mm.
and inspiring.
Well, I have no choice. I'm a 3-5, you
That's
know.
true. That's
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
That's
It's
true.
it's really funny to be a 3-5 because you know when the life gets to that state where it just keeps you in the head and if nothing is working and you know you're burned alive. I mean not burned alive, but you know you're burned at stake because you're fifth line and everything is shit and you just die and then the next moment, oh, you see your body do something. Oh, I'm hungry. I gotta go make some food or oh, my laundry is done now or something like that. And you just see that the resilience is embedded in me. My body just keeps moving until it doesn't, until the day that it dies. But um, it's such a weird thing to watch, you know, this resilience of a three being a 3-5. It's like constant ripping yourself apart and then getting up again. And in my head, you know, okay, the third line, the martyr, my personality is like, oh, poor me, I'm nothing, you know, an open ego, like I'm no one. And then at the same time, well, I'm a resilient fucker. And I don't see it until somebody points it out, like you just now. And it always makes me feel good because it's like, oh, there's something good about that after all. So thank you for that.
But you just mentioned the projection, and I wanted to ask you about it.
Mhm.
Actually, being burned at the stake.
Yeah.
Uh, how did you experience that in your life? And how did it feel? Um, did you have to run, or you faced it, or just
It's painful. It's really fucking painful. I hate it. I hate the being burned at the stake. It happened. I have no control over that either, you know. People have whatever they have. You know, I'm in a way I've become the again, I'm trying to be a bit careful with my words here, but what tends to happen is my role in this life ends up being whatever somebody's projecting onto me. And if I hang out with that person for a long time, this is what my life becomes. It becomes that projection field. And for me, it's like, okay, am I okay with this projection? You know, do I feel good about myself? Do I like myself with this projection? If I don't, then obviously I don't want to continue that. But if I'm okay with it, I might get along with that. And it's like nobody can really see me. And at times I get this feeling like, okay, somebody really sees me. They really see me. They get me for a brief second, and then it's gone. And then they forget that they have the projection field again. And then they have their own like ideas of what I am and what I have done. And then they burn me at the stake for something that I haven't even done. And it's like, okay. uh, yeah. But then, you know, like I've learned to understand when there's a need for me to defend myself or stand up for myself. You know, I'm motivation guilt. It's the fifth color, and it's about fixing. And it's for me, it's often about assessing the situation and seeing whether this is for me to fix. You know, is there something that I can actually? Does it feel like my spirit requires that I step in and try to realign something, a misconception or something like that? And often when I do that assessment, I realize that there's nothing for me to do here. I mean, it would just dampen my spirit for trying if it didn't work. And so often I let things be. It doesn't happen that often, actually. I feel like the more I learn to operate as myself, the less pain I get from the being burned at the stake. It still happens, for sure. I get blamed for things, but most, let's say 90% of the time, it dissolves over time, gets fixed somehow, but not always.
mm, it's funny that you're very aware of that. I even say the word funny because I think that a lot of fives don't really realize that they're mm, being burnt and
Mm.
talked behind and discussed. And I myself was so oblivious to the projection field for a very long time, especially in my youth.
Are you a 5-1?
Yeah, I'm a 5-1.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware. I knew that people want something from me, and what triggered me now when you said sometimes I go along with it. Well, that's my
Mm.
life. That has been
Mm.
my life. I either go with it or I don't go with it. And I'm also guilt. So a lot of times I would go with it, if I
Mm.
can do something about it. And it's what gives you the wings sometimes to go along with it. So it's nice how you explained it. Thank you for that.
Mm.
Mm.
I think for me, there's also the element that I have completely open G center with no gates in there. So I always become the other person or a reflection of them. Like, so the projection field is there. And um, then I also have this G center here. So it's really, I'm going to be on somebody else's trip all the time. I mean, it's my trip, sure, you know, internally, because this is what I experience. But but if we're talking about relationships or friendships, I just become something. You know, there's a role that I adapt to. And I was thinking about these roles actually the other day. It's like, okay, how much of these roles is actually me, and is any of it me? And I'm like, okay, well, it's my life experience. I mean, I'm here to live all kinds of flavors of identities and beings. So to some degree, at one level, it's all me, and on another level, it's never me. Like, yeah, I'm still watching it. Let's see.
Mm.
And I'm in a interesting phase of my life. My nodes are changing, so it's very visible. And the result is that I'm meeting a lot of new people and new friends, and it's so interesting because now I get to see again different flavors of who I can be with other people, you know, and how does that change? And it's kind of adding spice to my life in a way. Be able to see the different um, projections and different identities. Where does that take me? Because I have no direction in life, you know. It was funny, somebody asked me the other day that, they were talking about like, okay, whether they want to be in a few years' time, or what are they focusing on? Somebody asked me, it's like, okay, so what do you want from your life? And I'm like, I haven't got a clue. I'm just being, just I have no idea what's gonna happen next. I'm just here now. This is my life. It's nice to dream. Of course, I have dreams, but it doesn't mean that any of them are going to come true or that I even actively would try. I'm just being. And it can be very boring by the sounds of it, but it is really interesting because you don't know what's going to come next.
I was just thinking that it's definitely not boring, not knowing what's coming next, you know.
Yeah.
With the open G, it can be quite fun, because people just come along and they drag you here and there, and they're like, "Come here or go there, look at that," and
Mm,
you're like, that yes, that no, that yes, that no." So it can be a lot of fun too.
mm.
And when does it get boring? When nothing is happening according to your mind, or
Yeah, of course. I mean, what I see boredom as is mind is resisting the existence of being in the now. Being bored is just one way that the mind is saying this is not good, something else should happen. And so the boredom is also something that I like to experience and go through, um, and seeing what does it when my mind is bored. I get a sense of frustration in my body, and even with that is like, how does this feel? Because I'm here to live in the emotional field. I'm always feeling something. It's like it never stops. So it's just another feeling. Okay, it's uncomfortable feeling. I feel like I'm in a sticky mud, or something should be different. And how well am I going to accommodate that? How resilient is my mind to be able to go through boredom? It's in some ways, I imagine strength building for my mind is also to accommodate all these different things. How much can it withstand? I like to tease my mind. I like to, if something is really boring, to really look at it, and to really take even more time, because I like to challenge myself. I like to challenge my mind. So,
that's an interesting perspective on boredom. Actually, children, on one hand, they're never bored, But on the other hand, they can come and they can say, "Oh, I'm so bored." And usually I would tell my child, "Well, that's very good for you because now see what you can do with that boredom." And she's like, I
Mm.
hate you to tell me that. So she stopped coming to tell me that she's bored because that's what always my answer. Oh, that's interesting. Let's see what's there
Mm.
in the boredom.
Yeah.
But you're right. You're right. Boredom can be mm, indeed something telling you,
Mhm.
what's in this actually.
Mhm.
Uh, and especially for an emotional person like you, mm, there is always some mutation going on in your wave and boredom. That's what I think is one of those myths people have, like nothing is happening, but actually all the time, every second, something is happening.
Mhm.
And you just have to watch. So for me, awakening the observer is very much connected to being able to watch, to
Mhm.
and see.
Mhm.
And then there is no boredom.
Mhm. Mhm.
I discovered that quite young, but once I was at this holiday alone on the sea, and I was doing this Dao, observing and just being. And although there was repetition in my rhythm, like I would get at that time, and then I would practice and this and that. But then um, what you say, just being and feeling and breathing and observing, and there is so much going on in it
Mhm.
once your mind is open to
Mhm.
perceive, and then the seeing comes, and that cannot be boring.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like, okay, I'm emotionally defined, and my whole life, I've I've learned to try and suppress my emotions, and this is what the mind does. And so boredom is just one way of not looking how I feel. You know, I'm bored. I'm bored. Do something. Don't look at that. Don't stop and look at how you feel. Do something. I'm bored. You know, so it's just the one way of trying to push aside the deeper feelings that are underneath that often in in a state of boredom is about, well, I just got to stop and rest, take time for me and really look inside. Um, it's funny because the mind is so directly linked to emotions. So you could look at the quarter of initiation. I mean, all the emotional gates except for the six are in the quarter of initiation, which is purposeful filled through mind. And it's like the mind tries to be my friend all the time. It tries to help me see things and navigate things, but yet it cannot. And I've learned to look at my mind in a way that the moment it's resisting something through whatever it may, whether it's boredom or some other non-acceptance feeling, it's this is the time for me to really stop and look within and feel. And often it's like, because my channel is unconscious, so my personality doesn't really have access to it in a way. So I often don't know how I feel. Um, it can be triggered by touch. You know, if somebody hugs me, then suddenly I start crying. I'm like, oh my god, I really felt crap. But what I tend to do as a practice often, okay, well, I will breathe and I will feel my body. You know, I have tension in my shoulder, on my neck. You know, I get into that. I feel that. Okay, I have like a pulling nerve on my hip or something like that, and then I'm feeling that, and maybe I stretch or something. So to get in touch with my body and my chemistry is very physical like that. It's not like how do I feel emotionally, trying to think about it, trying to find words for it. It's just about feeling it. Okay, there's pain there. I'm gonna touch it. So it's very body oriented way. I mean, I'm a body therapist anyway, so I apply those methods for myself to try and begin to know myself and to know my body, what's going on there, and leaving the explanations aside at times.
And actually, that's what human design is about, to
Yeah.
get in touch with your body.
Mm-hmm.
So I found it very nice on this festival that there was a lot of body awareness workshops, and because it's so important.
Mm. Yeah.
And so can you tell us, because you're so open also, and um, is this your way to connect back to your center and just leave the well, not the conditioning, but the outside. Um, every center has a different time it needs in order to clean itself.
Mm.
But how is it being so open? Did you get overwhelmed? You did mention that sometimes you just need your space
Mm-hmm.
and be, and you're also 3/5, so bonds made and broken, of
Yeah.
course. Um, but can you tell me something more about how you take space for yourself, to decondition yourself and to clean yourself, just
Mm. Okay, so yeah, I mean, my there's a Jupiter in my Jupiter is in the 40th gate on both sides, and it's the gate of aloneness. So this is putting an emphasis on this understanding and realization that I am alone and I have to be alone. If I'm not alone, I'm gonna get lost. Um, with the 7 open centers like this, I mean, it can be really fun because I can get all kinds of different energies through that. I actually enjoy going out there and being in crowds and watching people, a bit like you said in the beginning. I always watch people, I sample people. It's interesting to get all these different levels of consciousness and frequencies. But at some point, I get enough of that, and it's like too much, and I can't take it anymore. And it's very much reliant on what state am I in my wave, my emotional wave. So when I'm feeling really, really low, like I said before, I can't take in anything. So I kind of close off, and I can't be around people. I don't want to be around people. But it's a funny navigation with this 40th gate because how I see it, it's a tribal channel, this 3740. So it's a tribal gate, but it's a gate of aloneness. And often for me, it's a realization that if I'm with someone or with people, that I'm still alone. Like I stand alone. I don't, it's kind of like I belong to so many different groups and tribes, but not really. Somehow I always get sucked into, all these different social gatherings or social groupings, but I never feel like I'm completely with them. And so there's this deep understanding that I have my own path. And if I get overwhelmed in a group, I mean, I'm not very good in pentas. Actually, dislike being in pentas. But even in pentas, I kind of lose myself completely. As it happens, design changes anyway. But with the 40th gate, I remember that I can be alone in a group. I don't have to be part of that. And it's almost like it's giving me the saving grace. Like it puts me back into that passenger mode. I'm just separate this interaction. I'm not really there. I'm alone. And something about this aloneness, I was actually thinking this morning how one of my deepest realizations through living my strategy and authority is the realization that I am alone. There are people, and people can walk along with me for some time in my life. Some people stay a long time, some people come and go, but ultimately I am so alone with my journey, because this is my journey. This is nobody else's journey. This is mine. And it can come with a melancholy attached to it. But at the same time, it's such an empowerment, because it's only through the aloneness that I realize that I am, okay, if I was in control, let's just imagine for a moment that I was, let's speak at that level. I am in control of my life and my state of health. I can't rely on anybody. I've got to do this for me. And it's really empowering. So yeah, aloneness is it's an interesting thing. Are you alone or are you lonely? Different things. Again, using words. Is it solitude? Is it aloneness? Is it loneliness? How do you look at it? So different flavors.
And but maybe it's not being in control, but taking responsibility
Yeah.
in a way. I think that yeah, that's also one of those myths, that in human design, that of no choice, that people just redeem from taking responsibility, but it's the opposite.
Yeah.
It's really, you see that it's your journey, nobody else's journey.
Mm-hmm.
So it's your responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And being is a verb,
Yeah.
as a friend of mine likes to say. It's living is a word, breathing is a verb.
Mm-hmm.
It's as we mentioned, all the time something is happening. It's amazing, this journey we are having the possibility to watch.
Yeah. I mean, I like this contemplation of choice, no choice. And I know that the whole thing has been thrown around in human design groups. And I don't know, to me, the no choice comes only through experience in a way, because I mean, I can operate from different levels of consciousness. I can go to the level of, okay, let's just pretend that there's a choice. And the choice that I have is like, do I follow my strategy and authority, or do I just act out of what my mind pressures me to do? That's a choice in a way. Um, but then ultimately you see over time that it's not. But in the moment, as I'm in the moment and I'm navigating through here, and something comes, it's so easy to follow your strategy and authority when you're alone, because there's no one there to push you. But the moment you have interaction with somebody, this is where you become face to face with the fact that, am I going to keep my alignment and my truth and my grounding in the waiting, or am I allowing the other to push me? Actually, am I allowing the other to get to my head, and then my head pushing me? Because that's how it works. And this is where I navigate in the moment. Okay, let's pretend that I have this choice, and it can be very useful, because that's really the ultimate choice. Am I letting my mind push me around, or am I leaving it aside and following my body? But as I said, sometimes my mind pushes me and I don't even see it. So therefore, it's not a choice, because it just happens. And then I'm like, oh, fuck, it happened again. Oh, damn. And then it's like, do I start beating myself up for, you made a mistake, you asshole, you couldn't do this right, my open ego there. But am I just like, oh, well, fuck it, no choice. Maybe next time I'll see it. I learned something. Next time I'll pay attention. And then maybe I forget again. I don't know. It's like, yeah. But if you like, it's a bit like what you said. If you live in a state of no choice, no choice, no choice, you don't take responsibility for the movie, and then it's much easier to be thrown around because you don't look. You gotta watch it in a way. Well, I don't know. You don't have to watch it. Again, using my words, I realize I don't like to say you have to or you should or you shouldn't, and they just come out of me like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Still, it's again a verb to be aware.
Yeah.
You cannot be 24/7 awakened,
Yeah.
but you can be aware, even post
hmm
factum. You can get aware,
Yeah.
and it can be quite eye-opening.
hmm
Can you tell me something more about this? Yeah, you are 3/5, so there is this projection field, of course, but also
Yeah.
the 659 channel, the channel of intimacy.
mm
Um, when you get into somebody's aura, you strip them down, and
mm
very fast you can get intimate with people. How
mm
is that your experience with this specifically? And also, do people project on you this intimacy related to in the sexual sense?
mm
And how do you deal with that confusion when it comes along?
Well, this is an interesting subject because I before I knew about my design, I wasn't aware that there was a mechanic at play. But I mean, I ended up in situations where I would get followed by people, by guys, and I didn't know why because I've never really considered myself being attractive. But I saw that was happening, and I, for my whole life, I've deliberately suppressed my femininity because of that. So I am a tomboy anyway. I like to do kind of masculine stuff and sports and things like that. But I was hiding my femininity for a long time because I knew that okay, if I put a bit of makeup and a nice dress on or something like that, I have to turn people away, and it was really unpleasant because it was in. I had a dilemma with that because I did not consider myself attractive, yet I was getting this attention. Then it puts pressure on me. Okay, do I have to be sexual with them, or because there is a sexual projection there? Obviously, I'm a fifth line with the 59.6, so I didn't know how to deal with that. I didn't even know how to say no. I mean, it's not like I would, like get with these people to anything, but it was just hard to kind of navigate that. And I've learned over the years that I don't have to do anything with that either. If I don't respond, I don't respond. If I don't respond, it's like if I give my energy to somebody, it can be in any form. It's a bit like, if you have dogs, they always after some kind of a reaction from you, whether it's positive or negative. And as long as they get that reaction, they keep going for more. So I've learned to kind of withdraw my energy from those people that I don't want to deal with. Okay, you can start following me, but I'm just not going to notice you. And eventually they will give up. I'm not saying that I'd be followed by loads of guys or anything like that, but it can happen. And it's been kind of unpleasant experience for me and unpleasant learning in a way. And I'm still discovering who I am in all of that. But so yeah, there is a rejection there. In terms of the aura breaking, I mean, I have the 59.1 in my Mars, and I can really see that the aura breaking does have to happen immediately. Like often with the people, I get right in there immediately. I just bust the aura, and then I'm deep in there, and then you can't get away from it. But it's also like I don't do that with everybody, I guess. I guess I'm only doing it with people that I respond to. Because if you think about it, the 59.6 is a generative channel, and I respond to intimacy, I respond to people and relationships. So if I really respond to somebody, I will go in there immediately. So it's very much of this cavewoman, caveman like um, feeling. But yeah, I think a lot of people have told me about how they see my 59.6 impacting people, and they see it better than I do because it's unconscious for me. So I'm not aware of it at all times.
But I loved how you worded. I'm in. You cannot
Yeah.
get away from it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
I'm in.
yeah, it's a bit like that. I mean, and sometimes I get, like people don't like it. People don't like their aura being burst, and so I get resistance, which is not often, but I can get resistance. And when I get resistance, I'm a bit like, oh, like how can we resist me, kind of thing, because it's unusual, but it does happen, and it's good that I get those experiences because I guess because I'm a 59.6 and I don't see it, it can be uncomfortable because I get too deep too soon. And if the other is not ready for sharing or being seen that deeply, I mean, it would be, I don't like, I like to respect people and their privacy. And if it's not correct for them that I get deep, I would like to give them that space, but I don't always see it. So it's good that sometimes I get snapped at my fingers and rejected. It's and also my mind doesn't like being rejected, so even more so, it's a good practice for me to challenge my mind again. You're not always that great. Like not everybody wants you. Okay, good to know. And then I have to deal with my open ego about that.
Um, when you mentioned I'm a little bit of a tomboy, and then suddenly I remember two other friends I have, which also have the 59.6. Actually, one of them also has only the 59.6. And they also have that a little bit. And they're very attractive to the other. I can see that a little bit with being a woman and sometimes in this masculine world when men will advance onto you
Yeah.
and a no is being taken as not always as what it actually means.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that's an interesting observation. How you balance it out a little bit, this intimate piercing in the
Mm.
other. And since you mentioned your dogs several times, what did your dogs teach you? Like
They teach me everything about life. I really learned through them. I mean, I've come to see that observing dogs, it's it's like it's not that different from humans. It's really not that different. The hierarchies, the ordering of things, and seeking attention, seeking reactions, playfulness, all of that is all within humans as well. It's just that we have our mind sitting on top of it and trying to tell us that we are not animals, you know. And it's like, I like to observe body language in humans. You know, it's one of my favorite things to do. I remember sitting in meetings when I was back in the day when I was still working in an office, and I was watching people and their body language, and as they were talking, they might have had very sophisticated and respectful conversation, but the body language was saying something completely different. It was saying, "I hate you." It was interesting dynamic to watch, and I got to see how people are not aware of their bodies and all this stuff that is happening underneath, you know, underneath the mind. And watching dogs, I'm seeing all the similarities in terms of that, how we really are our bodies, and we are still mammals to a large degree. So yeah, and the other thing that my dogs teach me is this unconditional love, and it's something that I value the most, because life can be very devastating at times, and it's easy to you know, blame the external, blame other people, blame different things for your misery. But ultimately, if I can see that everything is just about love, and love heals everything through my dogs, it heals me, and it removes that, puts in the blame or some a reasoning to the something else. You know, it's just like, okay, everything is perfect, and love exists, and that's it. But yeah, they do teach me a lot. I also get, now that I live in the city, I mean, I don't really like it. I'm quite secluded from the nature. So I do feel like the dogs really keep me attached to part of the nature, you know. It's like the nature is with me all the time, and it's healthy. So yeah. Also they teach me a lot about the connection between mammals and humans, because I am interested in that side of mechanics. So I'm watching all these different ways that I connect to them, the different channels.
Mm. What you mentioned about watching the body language of humans, um, I find it amusing when the body says one thing and the
Mm.
mouth says something totally different.
Yeah.
And for me, animals are the biggest teachers of synchronicity between both
Mm.
body language.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're so pure in that.
Hmm.
Especially in my case, my cat. I have a dog and a cat, but the cat is like really teaches me selfish enlightenment. Like
Mm, mm.
only when she wants, then she comes to you.
Yeah.
Uh, Not that I cannot take the fluffy thing, but it's different and
Mm,
it's so much wisdom. But as you say, ultimately we're killer monkeys, as
yeah.
Ra liked to say. Um, Connection to mammals. Well, um, is there something that you would like to share and to um just tell people out there? Maybe something about how to just live and feel, live and feel.
I guess it comes down to patience. You know, I mean, I'm learning a lot through my open root center. It's the first thing that I notice as my not self is when there's pressure, because the world operates with pressure. I mean, I'm very open, so I watch the world and I see and I feel it, and there is always this urgency with things. Always, you know, grab now, do now, quickly, you know, whatever. And emotional people are here to put barriers for that pressure, stop the train from going. I mean, route is nobody's authority. Okay, so if ever there's pressure, what I do is I notice that and then I stop. Any pressure, see it, stop, take it even slower. And that's something that I practice quite a lot. And the rush for me is the very toxic thing that I can do to my emotionality, because it puts me in a state of hurrying and hurrying through my feelings, wishing them to be over. Oh, my feelings are just slowing me down. Like I think I have some kind of other agenda that I have to live apart from stopping and waiting. And especially for emotional people, I think it's very important that we stop, we slow down a lot. We slow down tiny bit more than we would like to, tiny bit more. If you want to do something now, just deliberately do it a bit slower. Because I think it puts, like for me, what it does, it puts me into this state of, oh God, I can breathe. Like it's my pace, it's my body weight, it's my motion, my life, not mine, but my experience. And nobody's going to rush me through it. I can keep rushing my whole life, but for what? Then okay, when my mind says it's boring just to be and to watch, something else happening out there. It's like, no, everything is happening here. And when I get into that shift of through patience, through waiting a bit more, through teasing my mind, I actually get to see the magic. I mean, universe is full of messages from everywhere, and they all come through me. And I get into this kind of space of magic, and the being and the seeing and the observation becomes so interesting. It's not just okay, there's a chair there, there's a dog there. It's like everything speaks to me in different ways, and it opens up a completely different world. And it's much nicer, much nicer than the not self world that I often get caught in. So yeah, patience is for me, it's a key.
I love what you said. Emotional people are here to actually put a stop on that pressure. And
especially if you have any gates that are pointing to the route. Because I have the 55 and the 30 both 2 times. So that's really about stopping the root pressure. But overall, yeah, it really is, because emotional people are here to wait, and the root is here to pressure. So.
Yeah, but not only that. If you think about it, only the emotional person can really stand their truth, their emotional truth, What's my truth? And how does this really make me feel? And it's amazing. Thank you for that. It was a wow moment for me. So
that's nice.
yeah. Because I'm non-emotional and sometimes to stand your ground really takes perseverance and being loving yourself and being centered. And I now see really how emotional people can really be an example of how to stand your ground and be your truth, because they're not being able to be moved emotionally. So that's beautiful. How we're all here to be so differentiated and to take things. Everybody has their own little place and unique space to give their abundance to the world.
Yeah. And that's the beauty. This is what I love human design. I watch as it's spreading through the world, there's a wave of human design being like getting everywhere right now, which is kind of fun to see. But the key point to me is that through this mechanics, I get to really see and appreciate and emphasize the fact how we are all different and respect the other as they are. Because every time I speak to anybody who's not really aware of the fact that we're here to have our own journey, everybody's trying to put their agenda onto you or tell you what to do, or, oh, I did this and I suggest that you do the same kind of thing. And it's like, I'm really not living that at all. Like, I'm exactly the opposite. Like, okay, good, that can work for you beautifully, and it can work for a lot of people. But for me, mm-mm. And to take that authority, no, I'm not like you, I'm different. You're not like me, and I respect that. It's such a beautiful thing. And it's empowering thing to realize that I don't have to be like the other. It's like, I guess for the not self, in the beginning of my journey, it gave the permission to be different, to really stand out from the homogenized mass. And, it's beautiful. That also means that I don't have to. Okay, I'm motivation guild, which is about fixing. So yeah, okay, I'm not talking in that level, but there's really nothing or no one to fix in a way because we're all different, and I cannot know what's correct for somebody else. So it's
So
it's kind of like
important.
a lot of responsibility I can just shed out of my shoulders because I'm not here to fix anyone. I can tell you about stuff if you want to hear it, but you do you, I do me.
I think this is a great truth, and the truth has a ring to it.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's one of the most valuable things I've got from human design. This not telling any, like, I'm very sensitive if somebody tries to tell me what to do. I mean, even with the frequency there, I notice it immediately, and I go, no, I know, I'm sorry, but and I recently met somebody who I'm speaking with quite a lot, and he's really really nice guy. Um, but I noticed some of that, like it's happening unconsciously. This telling what to do, or it's not even telling what to do, but in terms of when I said about I'm watching dogs and there's hierarchy, people tend to automatically go to this hierarchical space, like using some words or a way of saying things. They put themselves above you, and this is really where I'm like super sensitive to that. If somebody's trying to talk to me in a belittling way, immediately, like I feel my hair stands up and like, no, 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 no. And I feel like human design gives me the lens to look things through this. Like I can't tell anybody what they should do. Nobody can tell me what I should do. Nobody can be above me. I cannot be above anybody else. And the moment that there is any of that happening, I pay attention because that's a way to homogenization. That's a way of suppressing the other out of love, towards control. I resist that.
And who doesn't?
Yeah. Yeah, the resistance happens even unconsciously, right? Like our minds are hooked into that, but our bodies resist that. Nobody wants to be told what to do. Everybody, especially generators, we want to do what we love. We have passion for what we respond to, what we have energy for. And the moment somebody tells you what to do and your mind allows you to do that kind of thing, then this is when it feels icky. It's kind of like it kind of it's almost like it's suppressing your spirit, your life force. It just puts you down a little bit. And over time, you get really hammered by everybody else. For me, that journey continues. I'm easily conditioned. I have the right variables on my personality side, and I'm very open. And I'm a fifth line and open G and all of that, so I get conditioned. And I've come to understand that this is how it has to be. I mean, I can't do anything about it. But then again, I get to, there's a choice. I get to choose who I let condition me. It's a response. Do I feel good about myself with this person or that person? And am I okay to take in their identity and their whatever they stand for? Um, but then again, remembering that it's still my response, it's still my authority, and still my journey, and I'm still alone. I'm just getting a flavor of this person now. So,
Yeah. So love and respect first
yeah,
towards yourself so you can have it towards others.
definitely.
And
And I really operate from that space of love, and I get really upset if something comes and hampers it. Like for example, the projection field can happen, and it can almost destroy my space of love because it challenges it. There's a projection. Somebody didn't see me. They didn't see the love that I operate from, and yeah, how do I deal with that? How does it make me feel? Is it gonna stop me from operating from that space of love, or do I just still continue? It's a constant learning process. But Richard Rudd said to me, not to me, but I was in his course once, and he said, "People don't need help; they need love." And I like that. It really stuck with me, and I can see it. I teach yoga, and in my yoga classes, I always try to get to that space, and I try to make people remember who they are and that they can love themselves, and that nobody can tell them what to do, and that there is a space inside of them that is just this all love, and they can get in touch with it at any point. And this is what I want to remind people of. I think it's really important because without it, we are lost. We can't keep love if we don't have it within us, if we don't know how it feels. If you don't feel the love for yourself, then all you're going to have is attachments to something that you think is love through another person, which is codependency, really. And yeah, that's kind of why this is kind of where I want to keep returning to my process.
Mm. I recently read the thought that raising children is not about trying to make them good people, but helping them remember who they are.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So human design helps us remember and
Mm,
center to who we are.
yeah,
Mm.
definitely.
Well, I'm grateful to have met you via human design.
Me
I
too,
think you're
likewise.
an amazing person, and as I said, you inspire me, and I wanted to show the person behind the body graph and share your goodies with my humble audience. So thank you for accepting this again.
Thank you. I mean, it's really nice to hear that, you can be inspired by me. I mean, I'm really grateful that you asked me for this because I do feel like I have things to say and I would like to speak out, but I'm a generator. I need to respond and wait for people to throw out of me and stuff like that. So I'm always grateful for that opportunity, always. And
Mm.
this was really, really nice. And it's a good timing for me as well, because I feel like I'm starting my own stuff with the human design. The first time I'm actually putting things out as myself. And it's still on the very early stages. And I don't really know what that's going to look like. But when you invited me for this interview, I thought I'm going to get a sense of what it could be. And so thank you for this opportunity, because now I'm going to go away and feel about it and see what can emerge in terms of what I want to put out.
And also you're a human design guide.
I am, yeah.
So uh you can I link to your profile afterwards and
Yeah, yeah.
extend.
I started a Facebook page, and it's just basically called Channel 596.
Okay.
So I'm aiming to put stuff out there about what I offer and stuff, but it's like I said, I haven't posted anything there yet. It's just the pages there. Or you can link to my Facebook um, profile as well. I did have a website, but I kind of let it go because I didn't keep up to date. So I'm building something new.
So guys, if you resonate and you would like to consult with Hannele or take the Living Your Design course, or you have somebody who you want to refer them to
So
her, please do. And thank you again for this space and time. And it really resonated with me before, but now after this interview, I could see why. Um, I mean, not in terms of why, but in terms of like, I had aha moments and it was precious for me. So thank you
mhm.
again. And guys, hope to, if you want to know more about Hannele, you can reach her out and wish her luck with her new endeavors. Bye for now.